Hey y'all, welcome back to Babeinlibrary. It is your girl Lisa, and today we are going to cover my March wrap up. I'm going to tell you this month started off rough and rocky. I was down bad in the trenches. I was in a reading slump, but somehow I kicked it into overdrive and I was able to read 10 books. Like, I'm gonna pat myself on the back because your girl did that. I started off this month with one of my favorite authors. If you all have been watching any of my videos, you know that A.E. Valdez has me by the throat in a chokehold. And this is the first of her series that I've been reading. I don't think this series has a name per se, but this is the first in her friendship series that follows a group of 3 friends. This is Harlow and Aeson's book. This is a slow burn, friends to lover romance. It starts off with a bang. Like within the first page, 2 pages, however many pages within the beginning of the story, Harlow is actually in a relationship with someone else. Now, this isn't any type of cheating that goes on here. She actually breaks up with the guy as he decides to propose to her. She then takes a trip across the globe and she goes over to Bali with her girlfriends. Is like, hey, I want to start over. Because I've been following the path that my parents have set me on, and he's not necessarily someone I see myself with. So then she gets an opportunity to go to another city where her uncle happens to live and to start over with a fresh new career. There she meets her new friend Seven, and Seven introduces Harlow to her brother, like, hey, she's new to the city. Please take her, show her around. I've got these 2 twins. I can't do it myself. I'm gonna need you to do me this solid. And from there, their playful banter really develops into a strong friendship, and that friendship only blossoms into love. And I'm gonna tell you, this has the best caretaking scene I have ever read. Like, I want this soft lifestyle that Aeson is able to provide for Harlow. He is very attentive and he is really there to show her, hey, you want to start over and make a new journey. This is self-discovery. I am here to support you in any step of the way. Whereas Harlow is a little bit indecisive. She just makes decisions on the whim. Her rock is Aeson in this, and he makes sure, hey, to give her instill trust and faith. You can do whatever you put your mind to, and I'm here to support you in any way possible. I actually rated a 3.5 though, simply because Harlow was frustrating me. I'm telling you, I'm sitting here gushing about Aeson, and I'm not even going to give you the half. And I felt like Harlow was the thing that was standing in between them being a couple. Like, they were together this entire time, that she just didn't want to give him the title. And I understand she was trying to find her way in the world, but don't fumble this man, because if you let him out in the wind too long, somebody else is going to pick him up. That somebody is me. Let me run across Aeson in the street. After I finished that, I then jumped into reading the 3rd in the Salacious Players series. And that is going to be Give Me More by Sarah Kate. When I tell you I've been struggling to find my perfect polyamorous romance, this is it. This is what I'm looking for. This is friends to lovers. This is the relationship between Drake, Hunter, and Isabel. I'm sure you already know, but Hunter and Drake are best friends. And Hunter is actually married to Isabel. They've been married for 10 years. They decide to go on a road trip to see how they could improve the Salacious Players Club. Drake is the contractor, so they decide to, hey, we need you on our trip, and pretty much you do everything with us anyway. Please come with us and explore and see how we can make our business better. One day he decides, I want to see you, Drake, be with my wife. I think that is the fantasy that I've always had that I've never been able to pinpoint. And lo and behold, Isabel knows Drake has been in love with you this entire time, and you've kind of been stringing him along. I don't want this to ruin our marriage. I don't want to ruin this relationship. Both Isabel and Drake are like, no, we're not gonna do it. However, one of the things that you will get to see about this romance is that they love Hunter and almost would do anything to see him happy. Isabel, to me, is the true MVP because she does 2 things, right? She knows, hey, I am secure in my marriage and I don't want this to break us. She loves her husband, but she also knows that Drake loves her husband as well. And she understands it's not always about you, baby. Let them have a little bit of alone time. You need a break too. She knows that we need to set careful boundaries and establish some sort of working relationship to how we're going to make this work because I can't lose either one of you at this point. Consent was a big part of their relationship and making sure that everyone was okay, because once you step in to this journey, there is no going back. So this right here was a 5-star read for me. Now, the next book I read, I was like, I need something dark. And what did I decide to do to fill that void? I jumped into Unhinged. And baby, it was an unhinged behavior, which I truly appreciated. This is the only book that I've ever read, and I do mean ever read, that I actually enjoyed the insta love factor. It is a male dark romance. It is dark. Let me make sure I state this to you all plain and clear. While Only James is funny, like Only James had the humor on 20, but that's because they were battling all of the dark elements that had to do with this book. This has some trigger warnings and content warnings that you all need to make sure that you read before you get into it. Adam does not know who Noah is. Adam is a psychopath. So he is following the orders of his father. He has 6 other brothers, I believe 6 or 7 other brothers who are all psychopaths, and they've been raised to use their talents for greater good. And Adam is a man with a mission. He gets the order and he executes it and fulfills it. However, no one knows who Adam is because Adam killed his father. And so Noah is like, hey, you ruined my life, I'm going to ruin yours. And he meets Adam in a dark alley. That's when I knew, if you know this man is a serial killer and you say, yeah, I'm going to run up on him, I knew that at that point it was unhinged behavior. They have a great communication style. They are able to establish boundaries, to talk about their needs, and being unashamed and unabashedly committed to communicating, simply because Adam doesn't have the same communication standards, right? Like, so he is not able to perceive emotions and he is not able to make assumptions. He has to be able to communicate everything. And that is one of the beauties that I would say in this book, because of some of Adam's limitations. You see that they have to navigate their relationship in blunt honesty and truth. And that is a beauty that most people in general are not able to do. But another thing that I really liked about this story is that this is the only male romance that I've seen a discussion of testing, and also, taking the discussion further to talk about prep, right? And making sure that all parties were safe in what they were going to do. That is not something that I typically see in a male romance. And after I picked up Unhinged, I was like, okay, I need a breather. I then decided to pick up Taken to Voraxia, which was one of my 12 for 12 recommendations from my friends from Instagram. And new favorite alien romance. You heard it here, folks. Elizabeth Stevens said, I'm gonna put my whole foot into book 1 and y'all gonna have to deal for the rest of the 8 books. And I am locked and loaded and ready to go. Like, the things that I loved about this is a diverse story. And I don't mean simply because it's an alien romance. There is a main character that has a hijab. There is a main character who has decided to take the power back into her own hands from being sexually assaulted, and decides to, withhold her voice and become mute. Like, there's so much diversity. In addition to the additional layer of aliens versus humans. These are smart, capable women. You've got an engineer, you got a linguistic specialist, you've got a warrior fighter. Like, these women are badass, and they are going to show you that time and time again throughout this series. I love that Elizabeth Stevens was able to be so creative with the world as well as the characters. I was able to easily pick up the language difference using the glossary. One of the other things I neglected to mention about Taken to Voraxia is that the main male character, Raku, or Zoran, he has his emotions written on his face. Literally, he has these like dots on his forehead that changes colors to match his emotions. And I think Elizabeth knew what she was doing. She was writing this character for the women reader who are like, yeah, I'm tired of guessing whether or not the man like me. After I read Taken to Voraxia, I was like, okay, What am I feeling now? I knew I needed to get into this next book because it was a chunker and I was reading it for a book club, and that is For the Fans by Nyla K. This is a step siblings hate to love, opposites attract romance. When I tell you that it's sports romance, let me add that in too, because Nyla K said, I got what you looking for. I'm going to put in every single trope that I can get that is a hot buzzword, and I'm gonna make it work. And she did just that. This right here, 4.5 5-star read, because it was 736 pages of me being tuned in. With Nyla K, I'm going to tell you right now, you have to almost suspend your belief for the stories of hers, simply because there is absolutely no way under any circumstance that I believe that a straight man that has absolutely no interest, has never even thought about another man, is going to be like, yeah, I'm not only going to join an OnlyFans with another man, I'm going to join an OnlyFans with another man that is my stepbrother just so I can get some money. It ain't gonna happen. But I was like, I'm gonna roll with it. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see what you're talking about. This is pure good time for 75% of the book. It is just hot, spicy, steamy. We fogging up the glass. But one of the things you have to know about Nyla K is once we get to that 75% mark, she said, I'm going to pull something out the bag and it's going to be something serious and heavy and you're not going to be ready for it. Now, if you're reading this book, you will be able to kind of see the warnings of what it is. It is content warning, triggering. Nyla K did a really good job of balancing belief systems and balancing, you know, what happens with victims and their families and how they handle certain things, as well as creating a great supporting friend system. And I think that makes a world of difference. After that, I said, okay, I need something quick. I then decided to pick up Behind the Scenes by Christina C. Jones. And this was a 3.5-star read for me. This is a story that you get to see main character, whose name is Logan, by far one of the best female characters that I've read this year for sure. Logan is the ultimate supportive girlfriend. She is one of those people that even if you're not on your own team, I'm a ride for you. I'm going to hype you up. I'm going to make sure, hey, I got you, and anything you need, you can do it. She makes sure to let Pierre know that he is worthy, that whatever he does is good enough and he is whole. So before that even occurs, you have Logan she just broke up with her boyfriend. She is riding around the city and she hits Pierre's car. And from there, she's all kind of shaken up. Her car is immobile. He's like, hey, where do you live? I will take you home. She's like, hey, guy, I don't really know you. No, you're not taking me home. He's like, well, you can stay in this sketch neighborhood if you want to, but me, I'm rolling. Give me your insurance information. I'm a bounce. I offered you a ride. I was trying to be a nice guy. She then looks around the area and is like, I'm going to take you up on that offer. Lo and behold, she's not ready for the night to end. She takes him into her house and they do what grown folks do. He leaves, she leaves. The next morning, she's getting ready to go for an interview. And who does she see at that interview but Pierre? And he is going to be her future boss. Once I finished Behind the Scenes, I then picked up Take the Lead by Alexis Daria. That is a he falls first, opposites attract, has that height difference. So for the girlies that are in love with, the girlies that love that size difference, pick up Take the Lead. This has a Dancing with the Stars kind of element. So you've got the main character, Gina Morales, and she has been a 5-time competitor within the show, and she gets tasked with helping, what is his name? Stone. She gets tasked with helping Stone, and Stone is her opposite in every way. Whereas Gina is from New York, she is Latinx and she is very boisterous, and Stone is quiet and introvert and reserved. He's from Alaska. He loves the woods. He loves, being able to commune with nature, but somehow they work. They absolutely gel together. And I'm going to tell you that Alexis Daria does a few amazing things. Producers are always trying to sell a story, whether that is the romance, whether that is the drama. They're always looking for how they can exploit people in the reality TV shows. And Gina is like, I'm not going to let it be me. I've been in a situation once before. I'm smarter. I'm wiser. It's not going to be me this time. And so she's doing everything she can to fight the attraction she has to Stone. And she doesn't want to be portrayed as the, over-sexualized Latin character, Hispanic character. She wants to be recognized for the work and her work ethic. And Stone has a reservations about being on TV, even though him and his family are on a TV show that's a reality TV show about their family. He doesn't really like the limelight, and he does not really like that he was chosen to be on his show. He feels like any one of his brothers could do it, but they chose him because of how he looks, and he is tall and muscular and rugged, and people make the assumption that he is supposed to want to be seen and ogled. And one of the things that Alexa Daria does is she makes sure to say, to let us know his inner monologue. And I think it was very interesting. She made a comment about how women never ask for permission for men or never assume that they have to obtain consent. And while Stone didn't call that out, these are his inner thoughts. And I love to see that she not only cared for her female main character, but she also cared about, the way in which he cared about his perception and how he felt. Now, Alexis Daria has spice. Do not let the cover fool you. It is hot. I mean, there is a mirror scene. There are some scenes, right? But with that, one of the things that Alexis Daria does is she makes sure that Gina is responsible, right? So Gina is one of those characters, again, she's laid the foundation of being able to say, I care about my career. I care about how I'm perceived in my future. And she makes that decision of whether or not she decides to take a Plan B pill. And I think that shows a lot of responsibility on the author. So I absolutely loved Take the Lead. I can't wait, and I hope the rest of the books get adapted. The next book that I go into was Vanessa Jared's God of Man. Now this, if you take a look, this is a stunning, stunning cover. This is what called out to me. So this is pretty much, to me, a Hallmark romance. So it's a small town romance that has mature characters. Both of these characters are in their 40s. I felt like this was a really good palate cleanser. You've got Vanessa and Michael. Michael's little sister is in a whirlwind romance, and she is engaged to a man that is almost twice her age. And Michael's very concerned. And this man has said he is a widow, but Michael, as a detective, says, hey, something doesn't seem right with this guy. And I really think that he's out to take my sister's fortune because his sister has a trust fund. So he's like, hey, I don't think that everything is kosher. Let me go ahead and do some research. And what he finds is that the man is actually the ex-husband of Vanessa, and where he had been putting out that he was widowed and his wife had died, his ex-wife died, she is very much alive. And so he takes a trip to the town where Vanessa is and like, hey, I know you don't owe me nothing, and I know you don't want to go back and have to deal with the man you worked so hard to get a divorce from, but I really need your help. And at first, Vanessa is like, I'm not interested, until she sees that, one, her husband has been saying that she's dead, and two, he stole the wedding ring, the only lasting thing that was Vanessa's grandma. So she's like, hey, I'm gonna ride it and I'm gonna come down, come hell or high water, at least I'm going to get my engagement ring. And she actually has to go through high water to be able to get to the town, and her car winds up getting flooded. So this also has a forced proximity element. Again, if you're looking for like a palate cleanser, if you like small town, which is all the rage these days, consider picking up Vanessa Jared. Now this next one, it's gonna shake the table. Do not hate me. I'm gonna have to be true and honest to myself. The next book I read was Forget Me Not by QB Tyler. This was good, but it wasn't the 5-star that I was hoping for. And I think it's simply because I had read Before I Let Go before getting to Forget Me Not. I think if I would have read this first, I think this probably would have been higher on my list. And then Kennedy Ryan still would have got the 4.5, 5-star she was getting. But I rated this a 3.5. This is the romance between Olivia and Bennett, but Olivia has filed for divorce. Bennett gets in a car crash and he loses his memory and he loses 2 years in time. And so in his mind, he's still madly in love with Olivia. They had just bought a home. They are doing well. Whereas Olivia's like, no, you cheated on me. I filed for divorce. We can no longer be together. There are 2 things that I will say I tip my hat to QB Tyler for. The first thing being that this is an interracial romance and she calls it out black and white, right? She talks about reasons why white men may be interested in black women and the discussion of possibly fetishization. So I love, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't see that coming from QB Tyler. I never thought, again, she writes a lot of interracial romance. She is a black woman, but I didn't see that coming in this book. And when I did, I was like, let me give you a standing ovation, sis. You shocked the shit out of me. The other thing that I loved was that the way in which she wrote this book, she starved us of Bennett's point of view. Like, I was reading this and I'm like, every chapter says Olivia, Olivia, Olivia. When am I going to get Bennett? But she held Bennett's point of view until it was absolutely necessary. And I think that just elevated things for me. This has a really good arc for one of the characters, the mother-in-law. Once you get to see the entire picture and the entire story, you will have a profound appreciation for her as a mother, and understand her reasonings and rationales and see why people love this. Again, I just wish that I had more time in between reading this and Before I Let Go, or I had read this first and I was able to have this stand on its own. Now, the last book I read is not a fiction story. It is We Over Me by Kadeen and Deval Ellis. This is a nonfiction kind of relationship guidebook. I encourage everyone to be able to read it and listen to it via audiobook, simply because their personalities shine through and they do a really good job of alternating back and forth, especially when they're telling a story and Deval is talking about Kadeen and something that she said, she will actually say it, and vice versa, right? As a single woman who is not married without kids, it feels like this book, going into it, you may assume that this book is not for you, but honestly, it's for everyone. It is written for single people, married people, people that are divorced, parents, grandparents. Anyone should be able to pick this up and glean something from it. I appreciate some of the things that they really try to emphasize. One being that marriage is a choice that people make every day. And when it no longer serves you, you deserve and you have the right to decide whether or not that you want to be in that. But again, you make that choice to be with that person and you need to continue to work through making that choice and being there and being invested in the relationship. They talk about how the society decides to make serving and simping negative things. But it works for people in their marriage. And the only person that you really should try to appease in your marriage is your spouse. And then how you need to prioritize your needs and speak your desires to your partner, communication being essential and vital to a healthy and lasting relationships. And then lastly, the realization that everyone is always evolving and constantly growing, and you as a individual in your marriage need to grow and evolve with that person and realize who they are today and not hold it against them that they're no longer the person that they was when you met them. That being said, you all could do me a favor. If there is a sunflower emoji, please leave it for me in the appreciation of Harlow. I'll talk to you all next time. Bye.